The human tenant. The alien planet Dikarun was cold, dry, and full of rules. Most buildings were gray, square, and silent. One of these buildings belonged to an alien woman named Varnaxa. She was tall, had blue skin, 4 arms, and a serious face that could make a criminal cry. Her rules were simple: no noise, no pets, no visitors, no trouble. She lived alone in the top floor and rented out rooms to travelers. Most tenants stayed only one night. Some left in the middle of the night. No one ever came back. One evening, her doorbell rang. She opened the door and saw something strange. A male human stood there holding a single bag. He looked tired but smiled politely. "Hi, I'm Jace. I heard you rent rooms?" Varnaxa raised one eyebrow. "You are a human?" "Yes, ma'am. Got transferred here. Military support staff. Just need a quiet place for a while." She didn't like humans. Too soft, too loud, too emotional. But no one else had asked for a room in weeks. "You follow my rules?" she asked firmly. "Yes, ma'am," Jace said again. "Then pay 1 week now, in advance." Jace handed her the credits. She led him down the hall to a small, clean room. "Room 7. Do not disturb me. Do not make noise. No pets allowed. Understand?" "Understood," Jace said with a nod. She closed the door without another word. "Strange creature," she muttered and walked away. That night, Varnaxa was reading a history report when she heard a sound. A low thump. Then a strange squeaky noise. Then something that almost sounded like growling. She paused. Her ears twitched. More sounds came. Movement. A bump against the wall. Varnaxa's heart raced. Did the human bring a pet? Angry, she grabbed her room key and stomped down the hallway. She stood outside room 7 and knocked hard. No answer. She knocked. Again, louder this time. "Open this door, human." Still no reply. She hissed, used her override key and burst in. What she saw made her scream. Jace was in bed. The blanket was moving. There was clearly something underneath. A shape, long and curved. It twitched. Then it rose a little. "What is that?" she shouted, switching her translator device on. Jace sat up, confused and half asleep. "What? What's going on?" Varnaxa pointed at the blanket. "Why do you have a mini Shai-Hulud between your legs?" Jace blinked. What? "A sandworm. A desert killer. The sacred beast of Surkon. Did you smuggle one here?" Jace looked under his blanket, realized what she meant. His eyes widened. Oh no. "Wait, that's not a worm." She stepped back in horror. "Don't move, it might attack." No, listen, it's not a worm. It's a human thing. Part of my body." Varnaxa froze. "What?" Jace scratched his head awkwardly. "It's, male biology. I was sleeping and sometimes it just, does that." Her translator struggled. "Male, reproduction, morning rising." It glitched and beeped. Varnaxa's face turned green with embarrassment. Her eyes darted from Jace to the blanket. She had seen many species. She had studied alien biology. But humans were still new to this part of the galaxy. "You mean, it's alive but not alive?" she asked slowly. "It's part of me," Jace explained, clearly trying not to laugh. "It's harmless, I swear." Varnaxa blinked. She had seen war beasts, plasma guns, and even ghosts. But this was beyond her knowledge. She backed away slowly. No more noise, no more movement, and stay under the blanket. Then she turned and marched out of the room, slamming the door behind her. Jace sat on his bed and sighed. Great, that went well. Meanwhile, in her own room, Varnaxa sat on her bed, face still green. Her hands shook as she opened her data tablet. She typed, "Human male anatomy. Alert, unexpected appendage growth at rest." A long list of files appeared. Some medical, some not medical. She clicked one. Her eyes grew wide. She stared at the screen for 10 minutes, then turned it off, and for the first time in years, she locked her bedroom door. Misunderstanding of anatomy Varnaxa didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, her forearms folded tightly, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. The strange image of the human's mini Shai-Hulud kept appearing in her mind. Was it truly part of his body? How did it move on its own? Was it dangerous? Could it detach? Could it bite? She sat up and began pacing. "This is why I don't rent to humans," she muttered. But she had made a report, just to be safe, and now things were about to get much worse. At sunrise, the apartment door buzzed violently. Varnaxa rushed to the entrance and saw 2 enforcement drones hovering, blue lights spinning. "Tenant 7 is under biological threat suspicion," one said in a cold voice. Varnaxa tried to explain. "I don't think it's a real threat, just a strange body, possibly weaponized organ. Step aside." They flew past her and stopped in front of Jace's room. Inside, Jace was brushing his teeth when he heard the knock. Before he could answer, the door burst open, and 2 floating alien robots zipped inside. "Stand down. Identify the biological entity under your blanket," one drone shouted. Jace choked on toothpaste. "What? Again?" Varnaxa peeked from behind the drones, face full of guilt and panic. "They think it's a weapon," Jace groaned. "This is insane." The drone scanned him with red lasers, beeped, hovered lower, target not visible, request, remove lower garments. Jace's face turned red. "I am not dropping my pants for a pair of floating toasters." "Human resistance noted," said one drone, powering up its restraints. Jace took a step back. Okay, hold on, let me explain, again." He picked up his translator and held it to his mouth. "Look, I'm a healthy adult human male. What you saw yesterday wasn't a worm. It was a natural body part like a tail or horns, but private." The translator paused, then announced, "Biological tail of reproductive function, currently at rest. Not a threat." The drones paused. Beep, beep. Threat level, none. Curiosity, level high. One drone turned to the other. "Initiate educational mode?" "No," Jace shouted. "Please don't." The drones backed away. Tenant cleared. "Apologies for intrusion." They floated out of the room. Varnaxa followed them with her eyes, then looked at Jace. Her cheeks had turned violet, an alien sign of embarrassment. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I truly thought it was a weapon." Jace gave a tired laugh. "Honestly, that might be the weirdest thing I've ever woken up to." She hesitated, then asked, "Does it move on its own often?" Jace rubbed his face. "Look, you don't have to ask these questions, but I must, for science." He raised an eyebrow. "Science, huh?" Varnaxa nodded seriously. "I have never met a human this close before. You are full of surprises." "Thanks, I think." Later that day, the apartment building was full of whispers. Other tenants had seen the drones arrive. They had heard the translator's loud declaration. Word spread fast. The human carried a strange weapon inside his body. Some were scared. Some were interested. Jace stepped into the common hall and felt all the eyes on him. One small alien child pointed and asked loudly, "Mama, is that the man with the worm?" Jace turned right around and went back to his room. That evening, someone slid a note under Varnaxa's door. It read, "We don't want humans here. Keep your tenant in line, or we will report you next." Varnaxa sat at her table thinking. Jace was not what she expected. He followed rules, stayed quiet, paid on time, yet everything about him was misunderstood, and now she was caught in the middle. She walked to Jace's door and knocked gently. He opened it, holding a drink. "More trouble?" She shook her head. "No, just wanted to say, I believe you, and I will handle the others." Jace smiled. "Thanks. You're not so bad for a strict alien landlady." She gave a soft snort. "And you're not so bad for a human with a—" "Don't finish that sentence." They both laughed. Forbidden curiosity, Varnaxa found herself staring at the mirror. Not at her face, but at her eyes. Her reflection looked the same, but inside something had changed. She had never broken a rule before. Yet here she was, secretly searching alien biology files at night, asking questions about humans that even her ancestors would find shameful. This was dangerous. This was curiosity. And in her culture, curiosity about humans, especially about their bodies, was strictly forbidden. She closed her screen fast when the building lights flickered. Someone was in the hallway. Quiet footsteps. A voice humming. It was Jace. She listened carefully through the wall. He was making something in the kitchen, singing a slow, strange human song. A language she didn't understand. But the sound was soft, calming. Her heart beat a little faster. The next day she caught herself watching him again. Not in a rude way, but wondering. Why did humans laugh so much? Why did they smile even when alone? And how could someone with such a weird body part be so normal? That afternoon, Jace knocked on her door for the first time. Varnaxa opened it quickly, surprised. Yes? He held up a bowl. You said no pets, but you didn't say anything about cookies. She blinked. Cookies? I made them. Try one. She looked suspiciously at the strange brown lumps. Are they safe? I ate 3 already. I'm still standing. She took one, sniffed it, then bit. Her eyes widened. This is not unpleasant. High praise from you. Jace grinned. She allowed a small smile. Thank you. He turned to go, then paused. Also, thank you for standing up for me yesterday. I know I've caused a bit of trouble. You didn't mean to, she said softly. And I misjudged you. But not everyone was so forgiving. That night, a neighbor from room 2, a reptilian alien named Brox, approached her. I saw you laughing with the human, he hissed. Getting close, are we? Mind your business, Varnaxa replied. Just saying, Brock sneered. You start cozying up to off-worlders, you'll lose more than you're building. The tribunal watches everything. He walked away with a cruel smirk. Varnaxa closed her door and locked it tight. Later that night, she couldn't sleep. She tried meditating. She tried breathing through all 4 lungs, but her mind kept spinning. Why did Brox's words bother her? It wasn't because she felt guilty. It was because she felt angry. Why should kindness be punished? Why couldn't she talk to a tenant without being judged? And why? Why did she now want to knock on Jace's door again? She paced the floor, 4 arms behind her back. After a long moment, she grabbed her tablet and pulled up one last file. Human intimacy and cultural signals. She scrolled past parts she didn't understand. But then she found one line that caught her breath. Humans form deep bonds through humor, shared food, and small touches. Touches. Her species didn't use touch to show closeness. They bowed. They offered gifts. But humans, they touched hands, leaned close, smiled. Varnaxa remembered his fingers brushing hers when he handed her the cookie bowl. She hadn't flinched. She hadn't backed away. She had liked it. Suddenly, buzz. Her security feed flashed red. Someone had hacked into the camera system. She tapped into the footage and gasped. A hidden lens was placed outside Jace's door. It was recording everything and streaming it live to the tribunal network. Varnaxa's blood ran cold. Someone was trying to frame her, to build a case, to destroy both her and the human. She grabbed her cloak and raced down the hallway. She banged on Jace's door. Open up now! He opened it in a t-shirt, surprised. Varnaxa? There's a camera on your door. They're watching you. Wait, what? Who? I don't know. But someone wants to make us look bad. Jace stepped into the hall and saw it, hidden above the doorframe, blinking softly. Great, he muttered. So now I'm starring in a secret alien reality show. She climbed the wall like a spider, ripped the camera out and crushed it in her hand, then looked at him. "We have to be careful now." He nodded. "No more cookies?" She smiled. "Maybe fewer cookies." The tribunal summons, the sky over. De Caroon cracked with lightning, not from a storm but from a tribunal ship landing. It was black, silent, shaped like a blade. And when it hovered above the city's core, everyone knew. Someone had broken a law. Inside her room, Varnaxa stared at the blinking alert on her wall panel. "You are summoned for questioning. Come alone, do not resist." Her throat tightened. They knew. In the hallway, Jace noticed something was wrong. Varnaxa wasn't outside for her morning routine. No grumbling, no hallway sweeping, no complaints about trash bins. He knocked on her. No answer. Then a shadow moved down the corridor. Two tall aliens in black robes stood there, faces hidden, carrying tribunal badges. "You the human?" one asked. Jace nodded slowly. They didn't say anything more. Just walked past him into Varnaxa's room. Inside the tribunal dome, hours later, Varnaxa stood in a large circular chamber surrounded by 12 judges, each from a different alien race. The center judge, a floating being made of pure light, spoke through vibration. "You have been accused of improper conduct with a protected species. Do you deny it?" Varnaxa's mouth went dry. "I deny any crime. The human is my tenant. You were observed visiting his room, laughing with him, speaking after hours, accepting his offerings." "Cookies," she said firmly. He offered cookies. Murmurs spread through the room. The word sounded far more scandalous than it should have. The tribunal showed blurry footage of her standing outside Jace's door, accepting a bowl, then laughing, then brushing hands. To her horror, even her internal system logs, her late-night searches about human intimacy, were shown. A female judge hissed, "Is it true you researched human mating rituals after viewing his organ?" The entire chamber stared at her. She wanted to disappear. "I was curious," she admitted. Gasps. The lead judge floated lower. "Curiosity is not illegal, but acting on it without approval is dangerous, especially when involving interspecies biology." "I did nothing wrong," Varnaxa said through clenched teeth. "He has done nothing wrong." Back at the apartment, Jace was pacing. Every minute that passed, he got angrier. No one would tell him where she was. The security feed was blocked, and he had a bad feeling. He pulled out his comm and messaged the one contact he'd never wanted to use, Commander Wren, his old military handler. "Need a favor," he wrote. They took someone, a friend. Inside the tribunal, the lead judge gave his final word. "You are not sentenced, but you are watched. The human must leave this planet within 3 cycles. If he remains, punishment will be yours." Varnaxa stood still. "No." The chamber fell silent again. "No?" the judge repeated. "I said no. He is not just a tenant. He is kind, honest, better than most beings here. If you punish anyone, punish me." Then the doors burst open, and Jace walked in. "I think I deserve to say something," he said, holding up a diplomat's pass. Commander Wren had pulled strings, big ones. The judges bristled. "This is a closed session." Jace ignored them and stepped forward. "I came to this planet to work, not to cause trouble. But ever since I arrived, I've been treated like a threat because I'm different, because I laugh, because I care." He turned to Varnaxa. "This woman saved me from getting arrested over a misunderstanding. She stood up for me when no one else did. And you're treating her like a criminal? For what, for being decent?" The chamber was quiet again. Even the floating judge paused before replying. "Human, your words are noted. The case is reviewed." Hours later, Varnaxa and Jace walked out of the dome together. The sun was setting. Neither of them said anything for a long time. Finally, she looked at him. "You could have been deported." "I still might," he said, "but it was worth it." She stopped walking, looked him in the eyes. You know, I've never had anyone speak for me like that. I've never had a landlady who broke rules to protect me." They both smiled. Far, above them, a camera clicked silently from a distant rooftop. Someone was still watching, and the story was not over yet. The human experiment. Jace had only been back in his room for 5 minutes when his door chimed again. Not Varnaxa, not a neighbor. This time, it was something stranger. Hovering at eye level was a sleek silver drone with glowing green eyes. A soft voice echoed from it, smooth and clinical. "You are requested by the Xenar Research Syndicate. Your organ has sparked scientific interest across 5 star systems." Jace dropped his coffee mug. Meanwhile, Varnaxa was arguing with the building council. "Again, you allowed him to stay after the tribunal's warning," Brox hissed, his scaled tail flicking behind him. "He's a danger, a living joke. The whole city is laughing at us." "He hasn't broken a single law," Varnaxa replied, "and he has more manners than half the residents here." Brox leaned close. "You'll lose your license for this. You're defending him too much." She leaned even closer. "Then maybe I'm tired of defending people like you." The room went silent. Back at the apartment, Jace sat on the edge of his bed, the drone hovering in front of him. "You want to study me?" he asked. "Voluntary. You will be compensated generously. No cutting, no surgery, just scanning, observation, possibly demonstration. That last part worries me. Your reproductive organ has become a cross-species fascination," the drone said casually. "Half the galaxy wants to know how it functions." Jace sighed. "Does anyone ask how I'm doing?" "Not yet." Later, Jace sat with Varnaxa on the rooftop garden, a place they had slowly made their safe zone. He told her everything: the drone, the offer, the weird interest. She blinked. "They want to turn you into a specimen?" "Pretty much. And you're thinking about it?" He shrugged. "It's a lot of credits, enough to buy a ship. Or maybe a small moon." Varnaxa looked disturbed. "Do you want to be known as that human? I'd rather be known for something weird than forgotten." She didn't laugh. Instead, she said quietly, "If you go, they will treat you like a tool, not like a person. They'll act polite, but they'll poke, record, stare. You'll become their property." Jay stared at her. "Is that what happened to others?" he asked. She nodded. "I've seen it. They start with questions. Then they make you stay. Then they say you belong to science." That night, Jace couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything. The way Varnaxa had stood up for him, the look in her eyes when she warned him, the way she had crushed the spy camera for him like it meant nothing. He wasn't just a tenant anymore, and she wasn't just a landlady. The next morning, the drone returned. "Final decision, human?" Jace stood at his door, calm and clear. "Yes, I'll accept, but only if one condition is met." "Name it." "She comes with me." The drone's eyes glowed brighter. "The alien landlady?" "She's not just a landlady. She's my assistant, translator, and friend." "Your file states you were alone." "Update the file." Hours later, the Xenar Syndicate ship hovered above the city. It looked like a floating lab, polished steel full of curious eyes. Jace and Varnaxa boarded together. Dozens of scientists lined the halls. They bowed, scanned, whispered. Varnaxa kept her forearms close. She didn't trust the smiles. Neither did Jace. In a private room, they gave him clean clothes, fruit drinks, and soft music. Then one alien doctor asked, "Would you mind showing us how it works?" Jace blinked. "You mean now?" "For data, of course. Purely for academic value." He looked at Varnaxa. She folded all four arms and said, "He's not doing anything until you sign a contract." "A what?" the doctor asked. "Terms, conditions, limits, privacy." Jace grinned. "Told you she's my assistant." As the research began, Varnaxa stayed by his side. She took notes. She asked questions. She blocked invasive scans. And slowly, The scientist began to see not just the mini Shai-Hulud, but the human behind it. A man with humor, with patience, with pride. And as the sessions went on, the scientists weren't the only ones learning. So was Varnaxa. She saw how he handled their questions, how he turned jokes into wisdom, how he taught them without shame or anger. And she realized something strange. She wasn't curious anymore. She was proud. The Galactic talk show. The lights were too bright. The stage was too big. The cameras floated, like silent insects, blinking red as they captured every second. Jace adjusted his collar and whispered to Varnaxa, "Tell me again why I agreed to this." She stood beside him, arms folded, wearing a formal black robe. "You said," and I quote, "If the whole galaxy's going to talk about my junk, I might as well be the one talking." Jace sighed. "That sounds like me." Galaxy Gossip Live, Episode 3001. Title, The Human with the Living Blade. Guest stars, Jace Thorne and Varnaxa of Dicaroon Billions tuned in across 5 sectors. Alien families gathered around hollow screens. Children giggled, old politicians frowned. Scientists took notes. The show's host, Zernik the Many-Mouthed, floated into view, an orb-like creature with 8 lips and no shame. Ladies, gents, and genderless globs, welcome to tonight's scandalous scoop. With us is the human who broke the stars, and the landlady who screamed about his mini Shai-Hulud. Crowd laughter echoed in every language. Jace smiled awkwardly and waved. "Thanks for having us," Zernik buzzed. "Let's begin with the big question. Did you know it was dangerous, Jace?" Varnaxa leaned into her mic. "It's not dangerous, it's just misunderstood." The crowd roared again. Zernik grinned all 20 teeth. "So tell me, how did this all begin?" Jace looked at the camera. "Well, I was just trying to sleep when my landlady burst in thinking I was hiding a killer worm between my legs." "Fair mistake," Zernik nodded. "Your people are full of surprises." The conversation turned fast, from comedy to curiosity. Scientists sent in questions live. Does it move by thought or reflex? Is it used as a weapon in combat? Can it bond with alien biology? Jace laughed. No, and probably not, but I'm open to research." Varnaxa cut in. "He's joking. Please stop asking him for samples." In a surprise moment, the audience was shown exclusive footage from the Xenar lab, clips of Jace calmly answering questions, smiling at nervous researchers, teaching alien interns how to ask without blushing. One clip showed him wrapping a lab coat around a shy young alien who had fainted during a scan. The crowd went silent. For the first time, the galaxy saw a human not just as strange, but as graceful. Zernik leaned closer. "You've become a symbol, Jace. A symbol of curiosity, of courage, of, anatomy." Jace smiled. "I didn't plan this, but I'm not ashamed of who I am." Then came the final question. Zernik turned to Varnaxa. "And you? You were just his landlord. Now you're traveling the stars with him. Why?" She paused, then said softly, "Because I saw something the rest of you missed. Not just a funny shape or a moving limb. I saw respect. I saw patience. I saw a being who let others laugh but never stopped teaching." She turned to Jace, and somewhere between all that, "I found a friend." The crowd fell quiet. Even Zernik blinked all his eyes. Well, that was strangely beautiful. After the show ended, reporters rushed them. Offers came from publishers, movie producers, even alien dating apps. One alien queen offered Jace a marriage proposal, just to see what it's like. He declined politely. Back on their ship, Varnaxa collapsed into her chair. That was exhausting. Jace grinned. "We just made history." I wanted to throw my chair at Zernik. He was pretty tame, actually. I was expecting worse. They both laughed. Then Varnaxa looked at him seriously. "You know they'll never stop asking about it. They'll always see you as the human with the strange gift." Jace nodded. Maybe. But that's not all I am. No, she agreed. You're much more. As their ship floated into open space, far from the gossip and cameras, Jace stared out the window. Stars passed, galaxies danced in the dark, and for the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like a visitor. He felt like he belonged. From landlady to lifemate. The offer came wrapped in silver light and royal seals. Delivered by a golden drone, it hovered beside Varnaxa as she stood on the ship's bridge. Her eyes scanned the message. Then she read it again, just to be sure. Position, offered, Chief Administrator of Dikarun Sector Housing Authority. Conditions, immediate return. Sever all human associations. She didn't blink, but her 4 hands slowly curled into fists. Jace entered moments later, holding 2 mugs of alien cocoa. What's that shiny thing? Another fan letter? No, she said quietly, handing him the tablet. He read it and whistled. Wow, that's a big deal. They're giving me back my honor, she said. Status, power, full forgiveness. He nodded. So, you'll take it? Varnaxa didn't answer. Instead, she looked at him. Really looked at him. At the man who had ruined her quiet life, turned her into a galaxy meme, and then somehow became the reason she smiled again. That evening, she stood alone on the outer deck looking out into deep space. The stars whispered. The wind of artificial gravity brushed her skin. Back home, she had everything. Here, she had one human. She remembered the first time she saw him, sleepy, polite, clueless. She remembered his strange laughter, his terrible cooking, his calm words during her tribunal hearing. He hadn't just lived in her building. He had moved into her mind, her rhythm, her silence. Jace found her on the deck. You're thinking about leaving, he said quietly. She turned. Yes. It's okay, he said, forcing a smile. It's your world, your people. They want you back, I get it. But they don't want you. He chuckled. Not many do. She looked at him. I do. He blinked. You do? I thought curiosity was dangerous. I thought emotions were weakness. I was wrong. You showed me that. Varnaxa, are you saying what I think you're saying? She took his hand. A very un-alien thing to do. I'm saying, you're not just my tenant anymore. Days later, their ship landed on a floating garden world where traditions were rewritten and love was not judged by species. There was no crowd, no cameras, just a quiet ceremony beneath a glowing sky tree, its leaves singing with light. Varnaxa wore a robe of soft stone colors, her eyes calm. Jace wore his only good shirt and tried not to sweat. They stood before an alien priest who had seen every kind of love in the galaxy. Do you come together by choice? He asked. Yes, they both said. The tree shimmered, casting stars on their faces. The bond was made. Back on Dikarun, Brox threw his tablet across the room. He had watched the secret stream in rage. Disgraceful, he shouted. She was one of us. His screen buzzed with tribunal alerts. Let them mock us, he sneered. This won't be the end. That human will fall. Someday. But somewhere far away, on a new world filled with possibility, Jace and Varnaxa began their next chapter. No rules, no tribunal, no fear. They took a small home overlooking violet rivers and lived simply. He cooked. She complained. They laughed. They argued about temperature settings. She snored with 2 noses. He talked in his sleep, and every time she looked at him, she didn't see the creature who caused chaos in her building. She saw her life mate, the one who changed everything with a smile and a mini Shai-Hulud. And so, across the galaxy, legends were told, not just of a human with a strange gift, but of the alien who saw past it and chose love anyway.